Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural edition of a podcast to be named later with myself, Brian Block, Brian Farrell. We're here to cover the Phillies 2023 season with a rotating cast of family, friends, your comments when we figure out how to take them and work them into this. We'll bring you a new, hopefully exciting way to engage with the sport that we all know and love after a wildly unexpected and fun playoff run last year. Brian Farrell, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Brian. Thank you so much for putting this all together, for working your magic, and here we are, ready to talk about Phillies baseball.
What a time. What a time to be alive, right?
Time. You know, it starts to warm up a little bit outside. We had a little bit of spring weather earlier this week. As soon as that warm weather comes, first thought every time is baseball.
Now, Brian and I are both Delaware County Pennsylvanians.
Actually,
no,
wow. Chester County. Yeah,
Chester County. We're learning things today.
I gotta rep my Chester County.
Tell the folks about yourself. Where are you right now?
Yep, right now I'm in Wilmington, Delaware, because my wife Ab and I live here. We've been in this house for 3 years now. Grew up in Kennett Square though, so I'm 4 for 4, actually, maybe 5 for 5 if you count that Union. Got a little beef with the MLS right now, but we can get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, die hard 4 for 4, and Penn State too.
Very good. Yeah, so I am from Delaware County. You know, I just assume everyone's from Delaware County.
That's the Delaware County thing. Yep. What parish did he go to? That's always the next question.
Yeah, you know, and as a Jew, you kind of feel like you're like, well, what world am I in?
Exactly.
Yeah, I would have an answer for you. St. Dennis is right around the corner for any of our future would-be watchers. I'm in Brooklyn, New York now, and Barclays Center is directly behind my right shoulder, now home to Ben Simmons. And as I was just a few minutes ago, we're recording this on the 19th. It's about 4 in the afternoon. Getting ready for our inaugural podcast. The Nets are playing the Nuggets. They just tipped like 20 minutes ago. Making a coffee to get ready for this thing. Have the Nets on in the background, just because it's like down the street. You put them on, and it's halftime of the college basketball games, and the feed goes out, and there's just a blank screen, and it just says technical difficulties, which is kind of like a joke. Like it's like a joke that you never actually see it in real life. You're like, oh yeah, like that's the joke switch. Like we'll be back. And so it's we'll be back for a little bit. I'm making the coffee, I'm going to the bathroom, drinking the coffee, walking around, like a little nervous energy. And like it's 5 minutes of we'll be back. And I'm like, seriously? Like this is like a real, like the Yankees play on this network too. They share it with the Nets. So they go back after about 5 minutes of blank screen. It's the pregame show again with these two guys that some of you may know, Frank Isola, who does some national work, and then just some random guy. They start describing what's going on in the game like we're talking to each other now. It's like, and this guy, hits foul shot number 1, and he's bringing the ball up. They've been describing the game because they can't get the feed to work in the stadium for the last half hour.
That's embarrassing. What a joke. All I can think of is if that happened during a Sixers game, I'd be livid. I'd be so pissed off, especially how much you pay for cable. It's like you have one job, just stream the game. It's 2023. They were doing this how many decades ago has basketball been on TV, and you can't get it right?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So for today, we're going to talk about our Phillies expectations, off-season additions. We'll do some recap of the crazy season that feels kind of like it just ended. Like it feels like it's almost a little too soon. And we'll do some way too early predictions. Then we'll be joined by a couple of guests in a new bit. I guess they're all new bits, who will give us their predictions, and we hope you enjoy. So shall we dig in?
Yep. I'd say our guests are experts, MLB experts. So everybody will be blown away once they see who this is.
You'll have to rush this tape into the Podcast Hall of Fame when you hear the knowledge that's going to be coming through in the next half hour. Question 1, Brian Farrell. In 2022, the Phillies had 87 wins. They finished 3rd place in the division. This year, their projection, this is according to Vegas odds, 88.5 wins. So with the addition of arguably the best free agent in the league, almost unanimously, right? Unanimously agreed. Yeah. Only one game better?
makes no sense to me. I mean, I don't get it. The NL is stacked, especially the NL East too. I mean, with the Braves and the Mets in there. But like you're saying, I mean, we're gonna miss Bryce for half the season, but we missed him for a good chunk last year too. So when he comes back, hopefully around July or so, gives them enough time to really get the ball rolling, get the chemistry working right. But I don't get the eight. What is it? 87 and a half?
88 and a half this year. It's like a game and a half better than last year.
I mean, when you look at the strides that Ranger Suarez took last year as your 3 pitcher, like he is on track to. They got good pitching. They added to their bullpen depth. Their bullpen is fantastic with a couple of additions that they've had there. I mean, young players are stepping up. You're looking for big steps out of Bryson Stott. I think we were in agreement on this. Nick Castellanos, there's no way he has another down year like last year, right? He's going to take. Yeah. So I went through the lineup here. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself here, but you got guys that can hit. You got righties that can hit and lefties that can hit, and you can finagle the batting, the order where you're righty lefty. So
we know about Trey. We know Harper's out for half the season. We'll get to the bullpen in a minute. Are you concerned that at the corners, all last season, the mantra was the corners defense is a huge liability. It definitely cost them games. That hasn't been addressed. How do you factor that in to this season?
Yeah, good question. I think Bohm is promising, right? He had struggled mightily in the beginning of that season. You remember in that the videos caught him, I forget what he said exactly. Something along the lines of, I fucking hate this place.
Yeah,
right?
We'll have to.
And then to see he turned it, he owned it. He did exactly what you needed to do. He owned it, and then he just worked hard. And I think his defense really improved in the second half of that season and in the playoffs. Reese, I worry a little bit. And, but I mean, a big part of this year, if this team's going to make another deep run, I think they're going to need some help from Derek Hall. I think we're looking for Derek Hall to make some improvements. I've heard he's better defensively. He's got a little power, right? A little pop that can hit the ball out of the park.
Yeah.
It's definitely a concern. And when you look at the defense in the outfield too, especially without Bryce in the beginning. I mean, Marsh helps out big time. But that was the number one thing last year was this team's defense is the worst in the MLB. But when you hit bombs, you don't need to. You can make a few errors. Ball can slip through some gaps, and they make up for it on the offensive end.
Yeah. Well, this is what concerns me, because it's like this team to me seems like more feast or famine than almost any others that we follow, which is when it's going well, World Series Game 3, right? They're clobbering teams. Yep. And when it's not going well, World Series Game 4, the defensive liabilities show up a little bit more. So with the addition of Trey Turner in the lineup, the removal of Harper for half of the season, how would you reconfigure their lineup this year as opposed to last?
Yeah, good question. So you got Marsh in center field. Schwarber's going to be in left. Who's in that right field spot? Is that Edmundo Sosa? I mean, I know he's a utility player. He's infield usually.
I think it's got to be Castellanos. I think you got to start Castellanos.
Oh yeah, Castellanos. Yeah, for sure. Oh man, it's going to be rough until Bryce gets back. But I think Edmundo Sosa is going to be a really big part of this team, and especially until Bryce gets back, you're going to be moving him around. I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing 3-4 times a week until Bryce gets back, finding a spot here and there, giving guys rest. I think he's going to be really key just because of how many positions that he can play too. And I think he's swinging the bat pretty well this spring. He's got some pop to him.
You know who's not swinging the bat well so far?
Go ahead, say it.
It's Castellanos. He's hitting just over 100 in spring training as of today.
Well, you know what? It's spring though, so I think that's okay for now. How many times there'll be guys a la Scott Kingery, right? That one year he's killing it. We're like, this is the dude. He had a fantastic spring, signed to a contract, and then he just can't hit, right? But he's turning around too this spring. Maybe he's just a spring ball player. Maybe. Got to get him playing in June and July.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the other side of the outfield and talk about Kyle Schwarber. Have you been watching the World Baseball Classic? We've got three Phillies in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, 3 Phillies. Yeah, man. I watched the game last night. The last couple innings, caught that Trey Turner with a grand
Grand
slam to
Slam.
take the
Yeah.
lead. I mean, that team is just stacked there, and it's cool to see. I mean, I think Turner was hitting ninth, and I think JT was hitting eighth, and it's just like those are two of the best players in baseball, and they're all the way down that lineup. It's exciting. World Baseball Classic has been really fun to watch. Have you been checking it out at all?
No, not at all. Couldn't be less.
Yeah.
Couldn't be less interested. I walked past a bar on Saturday that was playing it like accidentally, and I saw a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And I said, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of it. But
it's last time was the first time I saw any innings. You know what? The guys, it was intense. Like Mike Trout was freaking pumped up. Then again, this is probably the only playoff baseball he will ever see in his life. I mean, I don't blame him, I guess, but he should have came home. Should have came home, Mike.
And the rest of the country outside of our viewing area in LA said, "Who is that guy?"
Yeah, exactly. Right. MLB does not know how to market its stars, and it's Mike's not given a lot. Right. Well, so loves the weather, and that's about
and
weather
that's about it. That's about it. So Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff slot last year, it took him a long time to warm up. He was hitting under 220 for the season. It was like a 30 to 40 point average reduction from his years in Washington. It was about 70 points lower than a couple of years ago in Boston. So question number 2 for you, Brian Farrell. Does playing in the World Baseball Classic warm Schwarber up a little bit so that he can be more productive earlier in the season? And part 2, do you drop him in the lineup now that you have Trey Turner?
Ooh, great questions. Yeah, I think actually this year's tricky with the new rules. I mean, watching the World Baseball Classic, they didn't adopt the new the pitch clock, the shift, and the bases. So my concern is having Schwarber not go through a spring training and the other guys too, Trey and JT, having them go through a spring training, not playing by these new rules. And you'll see, I'm sure there's going to be times when, you know, they're going to not be in the batter's box in time. And they're going to get a strike called on them. Hopefully you can figure it out early in the season, long season, to a lot of games. So you hope by the end of the regular season, you hope that they're hitting their full stride. But there's definitely concern there for them getting adjusted. I hope Schwarber warms up. I mean, the thing with him, his worst month is May, right? Last May, he was just atrocious. And then he goes on to have the season that he had. How many home runs did he have last year? Was it 40, 42, something like that?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Insane.
He almost had 100 RBI season last year, 94.
And in the leadoff spot. So yeah. With Trey Turner now on this team, he's your leadoff guy. He has to be. I love getting Schwarber the at-bats. I get it. But if you get some people on in base, you know, if Trey can get on, you get Trey leading off, and then either JT, even Hoskins can slide into that 2 spot. You get a couple dudes on for Schwarber, run production is going to go through the roof. Solo home run that he had last year.
I'm knocking on my counter.
Right, knock on wood. Exactly.
So what else happened this offseason? They extended Sir Anthony Dominguez. They extended Jose Alvarado. They added Craig Kimbrell to the bullpen. They added Greg Soto from Detroit to the bullpen as a bridge guy. That's significant for a team that the last few years, their bullpen has been a serious liability. So how do you see the bullpen being structured this year? And opening day save situation, pitching coach Brian Farrell, who do you bring in?
Great question. I mean, it's tough. With this day and age, you don't necessarily have your best closer pitch in the 9th inning, right? It's all matchup based. Maybe if you're getting through the heart of their lineup in the 8th inning, my guy that I'm throwing out there is I literally just lost his name with the slider. Who's the guy with the slider? Sir Anthony. Oh, Alvarado. Oh, Sir Anthony's probably right. Jose Alvarado. Man, that guy's got some nasty stuff.
Yeah.
When his slider is on, no one can touch him.
I'll tell you, he pitched an inning. Yeah, I just went to spring training a couple of weeks ago, and they first of all, they played nobody, so it's pretty disappointing. But Jose came in and pitched 1 inning against the Red Sox. And I mean, they were playing a minor league lineup too by that point, but he looked unhittable. And it was nice to have a memory to replace the Yordan Alvarez home run in Game 5. So I now have an updated Jose Alvarado memory. Thankfully.
I'm surprised he's not playing in the World Baseball Classic. I don't know off the top of my head what country he's from, but he's good enough to be in it. I think a lot of MLB teams are really their pitchers, they're looking to keep home. They're keep down in spring training, keep a close eye on them. They don't want guys, getting throwing too many pitches down there.
Yeah, you're not alluding to anyone in particular, are you?
No.
Speaking of too many pitches, I was watching a replay. This just speaks to the riveting life that I lead right now. A replay of the 2000 World Series Game 5 between the Yankees and Mets. This is what they show on local TV here. And Al Leiter was pitching Game 5. And they said, I was watching just the 8th and the 9th again. And it was, back when Joe Buck was doing the World Series. And he said something that caught my attention that I feel like you would never hear now, which was Al Leiter had thrown about 140-something pitches in a Philly game. And I thought, well, Topper took out Zach Wheeler in Game 5 of the World Series, I believe, south of 100 pitches in the most critical appearance of his life. And this leads me to my next question for you, which is, what are your expectations going into year 2 of a Rob Thompson regime?
Yeah, with Topper. Yeah, I mean, what a really opposite direction that they were going with Girardi. You take Girardi out of there, and Topper comes in, and just the clubhouse just clicks. Everybody, what was Girardi doing in that clubhouse?
Instantly. What was he doing to those men?
Yeah, they must say every time he walked in the room, I just imagine guys just like turning their head, like, oh, here's the old man again. And then you got Topper, who's just the most likable, personable.
Who, by the way, is older.
Yeah,
It's not like it's a generational divide, right? Like he and Girardi, like he's older than Girardi.
Yeah, Girardi's he must have been just a hard ass in that locker room. And then you got Topper. Topper gives off big time Charlie Manuel vibes.
Yeah,
right? Just positive vibes.
Let him play. Just let him play. Let him play. So other than Trey Turner, who we've talked about a bit, I have 3 other players on my mind whose success I think will dictate the Phillies' success this year: Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and Nick Castellanos. So which starting pitcher, Brian Farrell, are you most excited to see this season? And will we see Andrew Painter at some point?
Yes, we're going to see Andrew Painter. I'm really excited for that. I've heard so much about this young kid. How old is he? He's 19.
He's 19. He's 19.
He's a teenager.
It almost doesn't sound right. Like I don't remember being 19.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and this he's got a lot of growing, I think, still left ahead of him. Battling through an injury right now, and they're being overly cautious with it, as they should be. Right, shut him down. I think he's down for a few weeks, and then just no surgery required. I believe. Right. We're definitely gonna see Andrew Painter at some point because he got a 5th spot. I mean, we talked through. You said Wheeler. Said Nola. We've talked about Ranger Suarez, but Bailey Falter actually had a surprisingly good year last year. I liked him eating up a few innings, but as your 4, maybe 5 guy, but I mean, if you can slide Andrew Painter in there in your 5th rotation, I mean, if this guy is half as good as what they say, we got something special.
Falter, to me, fizzled in the playoffs, and as they were entering the playoffs, I mean, my hope is that is a seasoning and experience type situation, because I definitely think that he has the stuff. And like you said, if he can eat up innings instead of, say, David Robertson, who I don't think folks will be sad to see gone, that's an upgrade too, right? The pitching is upgraded all the way around. It's just the defense and the offense has to click. And with Trey at the top, I think it should.
I forgot that Kimbrel's even with this team. Didn't even remember that they had signed him. What does he look like? It's not the same. It's not the old version from the Braves. That was years ago. I mean,
who? Which one?
Craig Kimbrel.
Yeah, no, it's the same. He's not the same. He's not the same Craig Kimbrel, but he is, he's the same guy, but he's not the same guy.
Yeah, he doesn't have his velocity. I'm assuming it's down.
It's down, but you know what? I trust the Dombrowski regime. If he can come in and give an inning here and there, let's do it.
It kind of reminds me of Syndergaard from last year. It's not the same dude. But when you're not relying on him in your 9th inning, because you have Alvarado, you have Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Yeah. And he gave him a couple serviceable starts at the end, and he got you through 3 or 4 innings decently of a World Series game. So if you can replace that production, great.
Yeah, exactly.
So who is your opening day starter?
It's got to be Wheeler, I think. You hope Wheeler. I mean, he had a fantastic year 2 years ago. Okay, year last year. I think you're still looking for him to make strides. At the same time, though, Nola is great. I mean, you got 1A and 1B. You got two starters, two aces. It's got a Wheeler is the better all around pitcher. Nola, if his fastball is not quite there, he's all location based. You know, he's got to be hitting his spots. I just don't see that happening this early in the season in May. I see Nola. I got a theory with him too. He's down from Nollins, right? He needs that warm weather. My theory, Nola really gets into things. July and August are his 2 months. He just powers through them. He just needs that warm weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Build a dome over Sit Bank.
So speaking of opening day, which is right around the corner, we'll use this segue to introduce yet another new segment that I think folks will enjoy immensely. It's called Brian's Bitching. And with that, give it to us. And
one of the things that I do the best is complain. I love complaining. Really good at it. For today, Brian's bitching. I'm bitching about. So one of the best things is opening day, right? Love it. We're waiting all spring. We're checking in guys. And opening day comes and you're so pumped. It's a working day. I usually got it on in the background.
It's a Thursday. It's usually a Thursday. It's usually a Thursday afternoon.
Exactly. My beef is that Friday, the next day, they always have off. You're so excited to watch Phillies baseball. Phillies is back. They're back. And then the next day they're off again. And it's just like, why? What's the point of it? No one's watching national baseball games, right? Nationally televised. I'm not going to tune into a Royals and Tigers game on that Friday just to watch opening day there. Just play the game. I mean, you already need a day off after just one day. Hate it. Absolutely hate that day.
You don't enjoy the nice buffer zone that you get after the excitement of an opening day to like.
Oh, it's like, let's jump in. I'm ready to go. One of the best things about baseball is that it's there with you every day through the summer when there's no other sports going on. At least the Phils play at 7:05.
Yeah,
and that is taken away from you when they have that one off day a month, and to have that be the second day of the entire season is just it's terrible.
Well, you know what's, I think, particularly exciting about the Phillies' first month, if they can do it right, is that their first, 5 or 6 series are not particularly barn burners. In fact, the only playoff team that they'll play does not come until the end of April when they face Houston in Houston.
Already.
So this team... Yeah. So if this team can get off to a hot start, I think they start at Texas, they play the Yankees. That won't obviously be a cakewalk. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, it's the second playoff team is Houston that they play in that month. But then the rest of the month, you've got like the Cincinnatis, you've got the Marlins, who they seem to be able to handle now.
Yes.
So you've got a tough series with the Yankees to start. You've got a tough series with Houston, but those are the only bookends of the first month. So if they can get off to a hot start, get the team gelling cohesively, they should be able to get off to a good start this season and let those new players sort of click and find their roles on the field and in the bullpen.
Yeah, that's a great point. They really do. With that schedule, I hadn't looked at the schedule yet. You're spot on. They got to get out to a hot start because this division is going to be brutal. I mean, the Mets are good. The Braves are really good. It's just you're going to have a lot of tough games later on down the road. So you got to win those early ones.
So this leads me to the first prediction that I will ask you to make, which is, where do you see the Phillies ending up this season in the division? And are you taking the over on 88.5 or the under?
Taking the over. I mean, it's got to be over, right? I see the Phils. I mean, that division is so tough. If I had to make a guess, I'd say second. The Braves are they're loaded with young talent, and they lock these dudes up for a long time.
Yeah.
I was watching Acuna last night in the World Baseball Classic, and just dude hit one right off the wall. He's a beast. The Mets will always find a way to fall apart. They will always be the Mets. They'll probably still get into the playoffs with how much money that they spend on their team.
Yeah.
They'll get in that second wild card spot, I guess, because the first wild card spot would be the second place team.
Yeah.
That's where I got the Phils in second, Mets in third. What about you?
I think that makes sense. The Mets don't even need to be playing real games to sabotage themselves.
Exactly.
So I just, I don't see the Phillies finishing. I'll say this: if the Phillies finish below second in the NL East, I think it will be a disappointing season. And obviously, they finished third. They still made the playoffs last year. They're keeping the second wild card, so there's still a route to the playoffs in that third NL East if the record is right. But a third place finish in this division would be disappointing.
Still win 90 games and come in third in the division. That's how these teams are.
Yeah. Okay. And now for our way too soon early prediction, do you have a World Series favorite at this point?
I do. I pulled up the odds. I'm not going to lie. I was taking a look at them. And then I started thinking back to last year's playoffs. And I really thought it was going to be the Yankees coming out of the AL. Houston really surprised me. They were really solid top to bottom. But the Yankees, I mean, they have three dudes that could hit 50 home runs. It's just absurd. They got the starting pitching too. I see the Yankees making a run. I hate saying that.
Yeah. Well, now that you've disappointed most of the future listeners of this, we're gonna turn to a new segment that we are calling, and we've got guests coming in right now on our Zoom non-paid subscription hotline. Segment is called
MLB Expert.
That's right. Our MLB experts. Welcome Abigail and Lissa again on the Zoom non-paid subscription hotline. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Hey, Brian. What's going on?
How's
two favorites.
Feeling?
Great. How's your day been?
We're great. Welcome to the inaugural episode of a podcast to be named later. Brian Farrell, anything you would like to discuss before we let our guests introduce themselves?
I don't have anything off the top of my head. No, I can't wait to get to this segment and to see the analysis that they're going to have here.
All right, we'll let folks do the math later on the connection that I'm thinking of now. So 3 questions that Brian and I have been pondering throughout the last half an hour or so that we would like your opinion on. And as we progress throughout the podcast and the season, we will be having Abigail Miller on for regular Ask Abigail segments, baseball related, life general related. She'll have her own special guests at some point. And as the season progresses, we'll see whose predictions turn out to be better. And frankly, it's a toss-up. So question 1, we won't give you our responses. We'll wait for your responses and we will track later. So question number 1, Abigail and Alyssa. Last year, the Phillies had 87 wins. This year, Vegas is predicting 88.5. Are you taking the over or the under?
Well, that question confuses me always. So thank you for starting off with a bang. An over? Does that mean more than 80?
More. That's
Over
right.
80, 89 or more.
Yeah.
I'm going 91.
91. Over. Okay. Alyssa,
I think I have to agree. Can I agree? Is that allowed?
you can.
No.
You can.
I'm gonna say 92 though.
92. I like it.
Okay.
Is that gonna make you guys happy? That's all I want. 92 wins.
Well, we're here for hard-hitting analytical commentary, but also, yes, we'll take the enjoyment.
How many did the last World Series winner win last year?
Good question.
The Astros, they had way over 100.
They had over 100.
Over 100.
Yeah, they had over 100.
Okay.
I was talking to Ab before this, and her initial number, Abigail, what was it? It was 100. She said, "Is 134 wins a lot?"
24. Yeah.
124?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But doable? Maybe.
No.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
No, also not doable. Okay, question 2. In which position will the Phillies finish the season in their division?
There are 5 teams in the division.
Alyssa, do you want to go first or?
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay. I think they're gonna finish second.
Second.
I think the Braves will finish first.
Oh,
I think the Phillies are behind the Braves.
that is also exactly what we said as well.
Love it. I just hear a lot about the Braves, and not living in Atlanta, I feel like that means they're good.
Hmm.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say fourth.
Oh,
With 91 wins and fourth place. Okay.
fourth.
And
Yeah,
they're going to
true.
beat out the Marlins only.
Wow. Okay.
So you got the Nationals over the Phillies.
All day. All day.
This is why we bring on hard-hitting guests.
Exactly. I mean, and they are the experts. So place your bets now for the Nationals to win over 92 games.
So do we win something if we're right at the end of all of this?
I'll buy you a car if the Nationals win more than 92 games.
Well, next week when we start our betting segment as part of the show, we'll have to be sure to have you back for that to talk to our sports betting expert.
I love it.
And our final question, Brian, you want to tee this up?
I'm trying to remember what this is. What our
It's
final
the
question is.
way too early World Series prediction.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So who do you guys think will win the World Series this year?
Oh gosh.
Can't say the Pirates.
We can't say the Pirates.
No, you can say it.
You can say, yeah, you could say the Pirates.
I think I would shoot myself in the foot with that one. 'Cause we were
Yeah.
great, but we have McCutcheon back, so we have that going for us. I'm gonna go a wild card and say the Brewers.
Oh,
Brew Crew. Okay.
What do you
Yeah.
got?
What makes
do
you
we
think
think?
Brewers? Why did you pick them?
No idea.
Do you know what city
It
they're
sounded
in?
nice. What's that?
What city are the Brewers?
Milwaukee. I knew that.
Nice.
you know, we started the show off by saying they're going to have to take it to the Hall of Fame for the for the wisdom we were going to impart. Now we've ended up on what city are they from?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Melissa?
I think I'm going the Cardinals.
Hmm.
All right.
Ah.
Got a
Wait,
couple-
what city are they from?
St. Louis. Been to a few of them, you know.
And maybe
Didn't
more
they-
to come.
Did they lose or did they beat the Phillies?
Phillies beat the
Last
Cardinals.
Philly beats Cardinals.
What were your
it's a come-
predictions, Brian's?
Actually, Brian didn't give his, I don't think. Did you? Well, then why
Yeah,
don't we ask him now?
I hate to say it. I think it's going to be an American League team again. And I think it's just as likely to be Houston.
Yeah, I think they're the
I
odds
hate to say
favorite.
Again.
I hate to say it.
The odds, they were like plus 500 or something, I think, to win the World Series. Plus 600.
I hate to say it. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a World Series matchup again of last year.
Rematch.
Except minus the no-hitter. That can't happen again.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what they're talking about. Sounds great though.
Well, Millers, how did you feel about the first segment of Ask Abigail?
I had a
Oh,
great time.
I feel like it's Ask the Miller Girls, but it's great. No idea what our answers are, what we said, but
Well,
hopefully it's good.
we will track those answers as the season progresses. And thanks again for joining. We'll see you soon.
Can't wait for
Thanks
this
for having
recurring segment.
It was good to see you guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
See you guys
Thanks
soon.
for having
Yeah,
us.
see you guys.
Anytime.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So, Brian, as we look to wrap up our first episode, what else did we have on the list?
I had a couple things for you here. I think we got to start off. There was one of your heroes, I believe is how you have worded him, has recently retired, the great Angelo Cataldi.
Mhm.
Wanted to know your analysis. How much do you miss him? And how has the show been since?
This is going to sound like a cry for help, what you're about to hear. And if you know me personally, I'm asking you to intervene right now. I replay. So they've archived. So first of all, I don't get up at 6 a.m. I go to law school at night. I'm there till 10 o'clock at night, 3 nights a week. I don't get up at 6 a.m. They podcast the segments on the, I don't even know whatever the hell it is, the podcast app. And then also on Odyssey, which owns WIP, you can replay the shows live throughout the day.
You're listening to replays of Angelo Cataldi.
I'm listening to archived replays of shows from weeks and months ago to try and wean myself off the morning shows for my entire life up until a couple of weeks ago. So
oh my gosh,
that's how it's going. But the new show is good.
Yeah, they are good.
The new show is good. It's just it's a different kind. Like, I mean, if anyone's stuck with this for the last half an hour, they'll know like the hard hitting, like analytical, like position by position, 88.5 versus 87 and whatever pro football talk, whatever. Who cares about that stuff? It's supposed to be fun and entertaining, right? And I feel like that's the show that they delivered, and it made it accessible in a way that we are going to try and make this Phillies season accessible to people that aren't stat nerds either, and just sort of enjoy talking about it and being around it. So that to me is missing. It'll take some time for the new show to click. I think they're doing a great job. It won't be the same. Yeah,
I do. I like the way that Richie and DeCameron play off of each other because they're almost completely opposite people.
Yeah,
but it's really funny to listen to their relationship over the radio.
As our show progresses, hopefully I will be
we will have the same
further along in the process.
Chemistry. Yep. Now, I have one more question about Angelo. Are you still sending him emails?
I haven't in a couple of weeks. I emailed him on like the second to last day.
All right.
So first of all, no one's gonna know what the hell we're talking about. But but if you do, this radio show host of 30-something years gave out his, he had an email, he had a Gmail account made up for the radio show. It wasn't like his personal, like that he's tax statement sent to. But so he had a radio show email set up that he, said that he responded to and he managed. And I do believe that just because of the frequency that he talked about it. And the sort of pride he seemed to take in saying, no, I answer every single one of my emails. So I was emailing him over the years since he established the email, like random stuff. I remember 2 years ago over the summer, I went with my friend to Miami. The Phillies were playing there for my birthday. So you kind of made it like a weekend birthday Phillies road trip. And it was like in the waning days of Girardi, or what I thought were the waning days of Girardi. And it was my birthday. I was hammered in a taxi cab with my friend coming back from the stadium to South Beach after they had lost like yet another game to the Marlins. And I said, this guy's got to go. Like I was firing him, a year ahead for my email. And I was writing furiously, again, hammered, furious, paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. They look like this guy's a bum. Like, what is going on? And Angelo was like, I agree. Thanks. And I was like, well, that's how you know it's him.
Yes, exactly. Right. That is very nice of him to reply to all this.
Yeah. So I wrote him like the second to last day of the show, just, to say thank you. And he wrote something back, like just nice, like, oh, thanks for the kind words and everything. So that was my last email. It likely will be my last email. We may send this recording to his email for full disclosure.
Absolutely should. Come on, you can be our special guest for the next episode.
Anytime.
All right, but now switching gears back to Phillies here a little bit. Got another question for you.
Yes.
If you were to buy one Phillies jersey from a current player, who would it be, and why?
Boy, that's a good question. That's a very good question. First of all, I feel like I'm at the age now where I'm too old for jerseys.
Definitely too old for jerseys.
Right.
I stopped rocking jerseys to games a few years ago. It just feels weird.
That said, though, I do have the powder blue throwback maroon P jersey that I do like very much. It's a nameless jersey. When I was buying jerseys a few years ago, I also just have the worst premonition for like who's going to be good and who's not. Like the Scott Kingery jersey is still in the closet, unworn from 5 or 6 years ago. I would say that if I was buying a jersey for myself or as a gift, I don't know how you don't buy Harper,
right,
given like the term of his deal. He'll be around. It's one that I think, if you think about like the last generation of jerseys that you still see frequently, and you're like, that's a venerable player who will never go out of style. It's Jimmy Rollins, it's Chase Utley, it's Halladay, and I feel like of this current team, it's Harper, and frankly, he may be the only one right now, at least at this stage, that would get that level of veterans in the forward.
I think Trey will get there eventually. I think the city's really going to fall in love with Trey Turner. But It's Harper's probably the answer there.
What about you?
So, I mean, Harper's the one, especially with his contract, like we said, and same with Trey. He's going to be around for a long time. I like to always, when I would wear jerseys, I'd like to get not the obvious player. I'd always get a younger guy that I thought was going to become the next big dude. This is gonna shock you maybe. I like Bryson Stott. I think that guy.
I do too.
He was playing ball really well at the end of last season, making a lot of contact. He doesn't strike out.
He doesn't strike out. It was his at bat in that Braves game. In that, was it game 3 of the divisional series against the Braves, when he hit that ball to right field, that turned that whole game around.
Yep.
That like 20 pitch at bat against the mustache guy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah, that dude. Oh, I hate the Braves so much.
I think he won that series against mustache guy.
Bryson Stott. Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that's all I had for you.
All right.
Shall
we wrap up the inaugural episode?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, for those of you who have stuck with us, thanks for watching. We will see you again in a week or so as we get closer to opening day. And all the fun that will come this season. So thanks a lot.
Yep. Thank you. Go Phils.
All right. See you later on.
See you.